All right, so let's jump in. Our lesson for today is learning how to solve for y. What that means is we want to get the y by itself. So right now, this equation is 2y plus 3x equals 6. We just want this equation to look like y equals. So we got to get rid of everything else. So how are we going to do that? I'm going to break this down into steps for you. So step 1, you're going to draw your vertical line. And circle y and its coefficient. So we're not doing any math yet. We're just setting it up to make it clear what we're trying to do. So it's nice to separate your equation into two sides. I'm going to call this side over here the first side and this side over here the second side. Then you want to circle your y and its coefficient. The coefficient is 2, okay? So the first thing we're going to do mathematically is get rid of anything that's on the outside of the circle. So you could literally cover up, if you had your finger, cover up the 2y. And what's on the outside of that circle? Well, we have this plus 3x. So how are we going to get rid of it? We're going to do the opposite. And we're going to subtract 3x on both sides. And that 6 doesn't have an x. So that's why I didn't put the minus 3x underneath it. So now I'm going to rewrite what my equation is. So I'm going to bring down my 2y. I'm going to bring down we're going to put this in the right order. So I'm going to write the negative 3x first and then the plus 6 second. So what did we just do? We got rid of what's on the outside of the circle by doing the opposite. And it's always going to be adding or subtracting. So we're just dealing with two-step equations today. That was the first step. So now to get the y by itself, because again, I don't want this equation to say 2y equals. I want it to say y equals. So the last step is, if you've got a whole number, you're going to divide. If it were a fraction, you would multiply by the reciprocal. So you're still doing the opposite. This says 2 times y. The opposite of multiplication is division. You're going to divide everything by the coefficient. So you're dividing the negative 3x by 2, and you're dividing the 6 by 2. We're not dealing with any fractions today, so I'm just going to go ahead and write out step 3 as divide every term by the coefficient of y. So let's see what we get. I'll switch colors to make it a little clearer. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm left with y. You can write 1y if you want to. Now, the negative 3x over 2. That's going to stay like that. We do not want decimals. You don't need to do anything else. But you do want to separate the fraction from the variable. So we're going to write it like this. Negative 3 halves x. And it's negative. And then finally, plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's it. It doesn't give you a nice number. It gives you an equation still, which is weird. We've never had that before. But this is as far as you go. And this is exactly what we want it to look like, because next week we're going to learn how to graph this. So when you solve for y equals negative 3 halves x plus 3, and you stop there.